He took 6 wickets on his first day of Test cricket. Then he watched other men wear the West Indies shirt for 6 straight years while he sat home in Barbados. This is the real story of Jomel Warrican, the spinner his own country almost gave up on. Stick with this one, because it doesn't end in disappointment. Jomel Warrican was born in Richmond Hill, St. Vincent, in May 1992. St. Vincent isn't a cricket factory. It's a small volcanic island, better known for its beaches than its bowling attacks. If you wanted a real shot at professional cricket in the West Indies system, you needed stronger pathways, tougher competition, better facilities. So while he was still young, Warrican made the move that would shape the rest of his career. He relocated to Barbados and enrolled at Combermere School, a school with a long history of producing sharp cricketers. Here's a detail most fans don't know. Warrican didn't start out as a spinner. He wanted to be a fast bowler, the way generations of West Indies quicks had been before him. It was Roddy Estwick, a former West Indies seamer turned coach at Combermere, who saw something different in him and suggested he switch to slow left-arm spin instead. It was a short conversation that barely got remembered at the time. It completely changed the direction of his career. The early results came fast. By 2009, still a teenager, Warrican won the Lord Gavron Award, handed out to Barbados's most promising young cricketers. He wasn't alone on that list. The other name that year was Jason Holder, who would go on to captain the West Indies Test team. That alone tells you the level Warrican was playing at before most fans had even heard his name. Later that year, he made his List A debut for the West Indies under-19 side, strong enough to earn a place in the West Indies squad for the 2010 Under-19 World Cup in New Zealand. For the next few years, Warrican did what most talented Caribbean cricketers have to do. He worked quietly, match after match, in regional 4-day cricket. He sharpened his control and learned to extract turn from pitches that gave him nothing. The breakthrough came in the 2014-15 season, when he took 49 wickets in a single regional first-class competition, including 2 8-wicket hauls, at an average under 15. Numbers like that are hard for selectors to ignore. They picked him for the Test tour of Sri Lanka. On the 22nd of October 2015, Jomel Warrican made his Test debut in Colombo. He took 4 wickets for 67 runs on the very first day and finished the match with 6. Respected cricket writer Tony Cozier had already flagged him earlier that year as a player worth watching. This looked like confirmation. A left-arm spinner landing the ball exactly where he wanted, troubling experienced batters in conditions built for spin. It looked like the start of a long international career. Then reality hit. West Indies' next assignment took them to Australia, where fast, bouncy pitches offered almost nothing for a finger spinner working the ball slowly through the air. Warrican couldn't repeat his Sri Lanka form, and the door that had just opened started closing again. Here's the part that gets left out of the highlight reels. Warrican didn't fail because he lost his skill. He ran into something bigger, a West Indies spin cupboard that was suddenly overflowing. Sunil Narine was mystifying international batters with deliveries nobody could read. Devendra Bishu was a wily leg spinner who kept finding wickets out of nowhere. There wasn't room in the side for all of them at once, and for years, Warrican kept losing that fight. It's a strange kind of setback, being good enough to play international cricket but still not good enough, on paper, to beat out the 2 or 3 other spinners ahead of you in the queue. Most players in that position quietly fade into domestic cricket and are never heard from again. Warrican refused to let that happen to him, so he went back to work. Between his 2015 debut and what would eventually become a permanent Test place, Warrican played over 100 first-class matches, quietly building one of the most consistent bowling records in regional cricket. He turned out for Barbados, the combined campuses and colleges side, and West Indies A, taking overs wherever they were offered. In 2018, a strong performance for West Indies A against the England Lions forced selectors to take another look, and he was recalled for Test tours to India and Bangladesh. Against Bangladesh in Chittagong, he produced a match-turning spell late on day 2. West Indies were staring at a big first innings deficit, and Bangladesh looked set to bat them out of the match completely. Warrican had other ideas. He ended a stubborn 65-run ninth-wicket partnership, then had the last man leg before wicket 3 balls later, finishing with 4 wickets for 62 runs and dragging his team back into a test they had no business competing in. It was proof he still belonged at this level. It still wasn't enough to lock down his place. Spinners came and went. Warrican kept getting overlooked, recalled, and dropped again, year after year, while West Indies leaned on a golden generation of fast bowlers instead. And here's where the story turns. In 2021, ahead of a home series against Pakistan, the selectors made a decision that quietly changed everything. They picked Warrican as the lone specialist spinner in the squad, ahead of the more explosive Rakeem Cornwall. Lead selector Roger Harper explained the thinking plainly at the time, saying the panel wanted a squad that balanced both pace and spin. It wasn't a dramatic headline. It was a quiet vote of confidence, and Warrican grabbed it and never let go. Over the next few seasons, he kept building, one unglamorous contribution at a time. He wasn't just a bowler either. His lower-order batting kept turning into a genuine asset, the kind of quiet runs that steady an innings when the top order collapses. He picked up handy white ball moments too, including a 4-wicket haul against the Netherlands in an ODI in 2022 that helped West Indies to a comfortable win, and useful overs during the tense 2023 World Cup qualifying campaign in Zimbabwe, a tournament West Indies could not afford to get wrong. None of it made headlines outside the Caribbean. All of it mattered. By the time 2025 arrived, roughly 6 years after that stunning Sri Lanka debut, Jomel Warrican had become West Indies' first-choice specialist spinner. 6 years. Most cricketers who debut as well as he did either establish themselves within a couple of seasons or fade out of the picture entirely. Warrican did neither. He simply refused to disappear until the selectors ran out of reasons to leave him out. But nothing that had come before prepared anyone for what happened next. In January 2025, West Indies traveled to Pakistan for a 2-match test series, a country where they hadn't won a single test in 34 years. Almost nobody expected anything. Instead, Jomel Warrican turned into an unplayable weapon. Across the 2 tests, he took 19 wickets at an almost absurd average of 9 runs apiece. In the second test, in Multan, he took 5 wickets in Pakistan's second innings, finishing with a 9-wicket match haul as West Indies bowled Pakistan out for just 133 and won by 120 runs. He didn't just win the match with the ball either. Earlier in that same test, with West Indies needing to steady a nervy chase, Warrican walked out at number 9 and held firm for an unbeaten 36, exactly the kind of situation his batting had quietly been preparing him for over the years. West Indies had done something they hadn't managed since 1990. They had won a test on Pakistani soil. Warrican was named Player of the Match, and for the first time in his career, he wasn't just a promising name from a small island anymore. He was the reason his team had made history. Off the back of that performance, Cricket West Indies rebuilt the entire leadership of the test team. Darren Sammy came in as head coach, Roston Chase was named captain, and Jomel Warrican, the man who had spent 6 years fighting just to hold a regular spot in the side, was named vice-captain in May 2025. It was the kind of validation that should have closed the loop on his whole career. The overlooked kid from St. Vincent, the player who once had to compete for overs against Sunil Narine and Devendra Bishu just to get noticed, was now one of the 2 most important leaders in West Indies cricket. Nobody outside the Caribbean had been paying attention to him for most of the last decade. Suddenly, everybody was. But this is West Indies cricket, and the story never stays that simple for long. Later that year, in the very first test of the home series against Australia, on a pitch in Barbados that offered almost nothing for spin, Warrican bowled just 8 overs in the entire innings while Australia piled up runs around him. He finished with figures of 8 overs for 18 runs without a wicket. respectable given the conditions, bowling on a surface where seamers were doing all the damage. He was left out of the very next test entirely. A sitting vice-captain, a player of the match winner from months earlier, dropped after barely being given the ball. It sparked real anger among fans and former players, who saw it as yet another example of Caribbean cricket failing to manage its own talent properly. Former all-rounder Carl Hooper had already been openly critical of the team's direction that same series. After West Indies collapsed to one of the lowest totals in Test history against Australia, and Warrican's omission just added fuel to a wider conversation about whether the team's selection decisions were actually helping its best players or quietly working against them. For a bowler who had waited 6 years for a settled place in the side, being dropped again, even briefly, after the biggest series of his career, felt to a lot of fans like